Yo, hello, Mr. Brown. Hello, Mr. Brown. Hello, Mr. Brown.
Hey, it's almost summertime, and this summertime will be different from last year's, or because, well, not much, because you guys doing distance learning before you did last year, but this time you're at school, but you did distance learning for most of the year. Look, summertime comes, and I want to give you 3 quotes for you to think about. I want you to discuss these 3 quotes and applying them to what you will do this summer, because summertime you get a lot of freedom. Some of you, your parents aren't around, you're at home all day, and listen, sometimes freedom doesn't always help you to make the best choices. Because one thing I like about school is it gives you structure, and we all need that structure. Even though we don't like it sometimes, we all need boundaries, so we will stay within the boundaries that are good for us, right? Same thing with our parents. The reason our parents and teachers are around, because listen, their job is to protect you from other people around the world, but also sometimes to protect you from yourself. And that's sometimes what school does. It protects you from yourself, because truth be told, many of you, if you had a choice, you would not go to school. If you had a choice, if you could stay at home all day and watch TV or play video games, many of us would do that. But long term, that wouldn't be the best for us. So I want you to thinking about this summer and preparing yourself to make the best choice you can make, or choose well this summer, with these 3 quotes in mind. Number 1, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. There's consequences that can be good and bad. Think about that before you make choices. Just because you can do something, you have the freedom to do it. No one is watching. Doesn't mean you should do something. It may not be good for you now, later, or in the future. So that's quote number 1. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So have a discussion about that. Quote number 2. Just because you didn't get caught doesn't mean you got away with it. Yeah, that's a deep one. Just because you didn't get caught doesn't mean you didn't get away. I'm gonna give you a quick story about that one. This guy was up in the northeast part of the country. He was driving home one night. He had been doing a little drinking. He wasn't quite drunk. As he was driving, it was a rainstorm. And in that rainstorm, he hit something and rolled over it. But he didn't want to stop because he was afraid that if the police came to the site, they would find he was drinking, he'd get arrested. So he went home. Woke up the next morning, found out that somebody died on that same road. Somebody was killed on that road by hit and run. And he thought, yep, it might have been me. But he didn't say nothing for years. For years, he didn't say anything about the incident. Long story short, every time he heard sirens, every time he had this guilty conscience, every time he saw an accident, he remembered what happened until he could not put up with it anymore. So he went to the authorities. About 20 years later, he went to the authorities and said, listen, this is what happened on this street. I did it. I killed somebody. He was overwhelmed with just guilt. They said, okay, sir, let's investigate. They did an investigation, and they did the research and found out it wasn't him. They had found the person who did it. He might have hit something else, but he didn't hit that person. He'd been living for 20 years with that guilt of something he didn't do. And many of you do that too, because even though you may not have gotten caught, you still have something called a conscience. And so I just think it's better to tell the truth. Get it over with, because otherwise you're carrying something that you may not need to carry for a long time. So just because you didn't get caught, your mom didn't know this time. And the truth is, sometimes your parents know stuff. They just want to see if you go say something about it. Doesn't mean you got away with it. Talk about that. Have a discussion about that in light of this summer. And last quote is this. These are all some of my favorite quotes, and I got videos about these quotes, and I'll probably make longer ones to redo them, but here's the last quote. Don't trade what you want most for what you want in the moment. Don't trade what you want most for what you want in the moment. That one means a lot to me, because I have some stories about that I can see in my own life looking back, how I traded what I wanted most in my future for what I wanted in the moment. Because here's the deal, the moment will pass, but that choice you make will last. Yes, you have a lot of freedom this summer. You have time to do stuff that you can do, ain't nobody watching you. But don't trade what you want most in your life, what you want in that moment. Because again, that moment will pass. The choices you make in those moments, they will last. There you go. Advisory, last one done. Talk about those 3 quotes. Discuss them. Maybe write a journal. Maybe click in the description below. Maybe we'll actually put some photos to go with it. Maybe you can print those photos out. Maybe make a poster or something with them, or make your own. That would be cool. Won't you, if you whatever quote you like, make a poster or make some kind of image of it and send it to me. I'd love to see it. But again, 3 quotes to discuss during advisory. Number 1, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Number 2, just because you didn't get caught doesn't mean you got away with it. And lastly, don't trade what you want most, what you want in the moment. You got that? And of course, my ultimate favorite quote, when you make better choices, you will live a better life. So choose well. Oh yeah.